Hi, my name is Avni, and I'm a bioinformatics systems analyst at the Genomics Institute at UCSC. And today I will be talking about finding and sharing reproducible workflows with Dockstore. So for the agenda for the talk today, I'll first talk about workflows in BioData Catalyst. And in order to understand that better, I will introduce a few new concepts like a container, how a workflow uses a container, and then we will move on to Dockstore and how you can use Dockstore for research. Finally, we'll have a small demonstration, after which I will link some resources to help you get started on Dockstore. So workflows. Workflows are a sequence of programs or scripts that allow for processing data across multiple steps. So in the workspaces on BioData Catalyst, you can use container-based workflows to launch batch jobs into the cloud environment. So you can think of these workflows to be similar to submitting a job in your institution's compute cluster, but with a few extra perks. But to understand what these workflows are, let's first talk about containers and descriptor languages. Take note here that BioData Catalyst, there are two workspaces. One of them is Terra, which uses the workflow description language, or WDL. The other is Seven Bridges, which uses the common workflow language, or CWL. So what is a container? You can literally visualize a box or a container that contains all softwares and dependencies that you need to run a program. Now just imagine that you can take this container and install it on any machine you would like to use, either your own machine or your collaborator's machine, irrespective of the OS. That's literally all there is. Using a container allows you to have a portable software that you can run quickly and reliably in different computing environments. So then what is Docker? Docker is just a particularly popular brand of containers. Moving on to workflow itself. The first important component of running a workflow is a container that we just talked about. So to recap quickly, it makes your software portable to quickly and reliably run it in different environments. Next, you need a descriptor file. So this is the file that contains your workflow language, such as WDL or CWL. And using this language, you describe how you want your workflow to run. Some things that this entails is describing which container you would like to use, what each step of the workflow should do, other metadata associated with these steps, and parameters associated, such as declaring the input and output and the compute setup. And then finally, you need a parameter file. This is generally a JSON or a YAML file format. In this file, you can specify the actual input files and parameters, such as a link to the input files in a Google bucket, or a local path and compute resources. So now that you know what workflows are and you know how to write them, why should you use them? How are they useful for your research? So you may have come across research that was conducted using pipelines or workflows. May you want to explore these workflows yourself, maybe reproduce the analysis that was published, or reuse the same analysis using your own data. So is there an easy and reliable way to find relevant workflows or workflows of interest to you, and furthermore use them? So the answer to that is Dockstore. So you can think of Dockstore as an app store for, it's like an app store for bioinformatics workflows. It's an open source platform for sharing container-based bioinformatics workflows. So users can launch workflows from Dockstore directly into cloud workspaces, like Seven Bridges or Terra, or even download them to use locally. Users can publish their own workflows on Dockstore to make them available to the greater scientific community. So the advantages here, it increases the reproducibility of your computational analysis using a combination of containers and workflow languages. It increases the transparency of analysis methods, and it allows others to verify your results and apply these existing methods into their own research. So to overall explain the construct of how Dockstore works, this is just a schematic diagram. So you have all of these different descriptor languages like CWL, Nextflow, WDL, Galaxy, etc. And these combined with the Docker, which has all of the tool software, dependencies, the operating system, You can combine these together and then launch them into different cloud computing platforms like BDC Catalyst powered by Seven Bridges, powered by Terra, and other cloud platforms like Anvil, DNA Nexus, DNA Stack, etc. So now we'll have a demo. This was created by Ash, who is another bioinformatics systems analyst on our team.
Hello, my name is Ash. I'm a bioinformatics systems analyst at the Genomics Institute, which is connected to the University of California at Santa Cruz and a member of the BioData Catalyst Consortium. BioData Catalyst is a cloud-based platform funded by NHLBI that connects compute platforms, analysis methods, and data to enable heart, lung, blood, and sleep research. Dockstore, which is a joint project between UC Santa Cruz and the Ontario Institute for Cancer Research, is a catalog of bioinformatics workflows that can be launched in multiple cloud compute environments. We have a lot of great platforms on BioData Catalyst. Today, we'll be focusing on how workspaces are connected to Dockstore, a platform for hosting scientific analysis workflows. The workflow we will be going through today can be run on both of BioData Catalyst's compute platforms. We will start by importing a workflow into BioData Catalyst powered by Terra, which uses the workflow description language, also known as WDL. Then, we will switch over to the common workflow language version of this workflow, also known as CWL, and import it into BioData Catalyst powered by Seven Bridges. Our demo will use a workflow that connects a VCF input into a GDS file. This input can be an uncompressed VCF, a gzipped VCF, or a BCF. To ensure that the resulting file can be used with tools that require all variants to have unique IDs, the GDS files are then assigned unique variant IDs. Finally, these outputs are compared to the original inputs to ensure congruence. This is one of the first steps for many forms of genomic analysis, including the University of Washington Genome Analysis Core's Genesis Association Testing Pipeline. We will refer to this as the UWGAC pipeline for the remainder of this video. To learn more about this pipeline, we will navigate to a collection of workflows under the BioData Catalyst organization on Dockstore. We can see the collection of UWGAC associated workflows here. On the UWGAC collection page, we can see more information about the workflows available. This entry represents the VCF to GDS WDL that we will start with. Its CWL counterpart is here. On the main page of a Dockstore entry, we can see information about the workflow, such as where the source code can be found, whether it has a checker entry, who the author is, and more. If we want a preview of the workflow prior to importing it, we can click on the Files tab. If you would like to know more about how both CWLs and WDLs are constructed, we have plenty of documentation on this topic. See the description box of this video for links. If we click on the Parameter Files tab within the Files section, we are taken to a JSON file which will serve as a list of inputs. This one links to example files in a Google Cloud Storage bucket. Keep in mind that this is an example template file. If running on different data, you would not be using this file as is. On the right side of the screen, you will see a button allowing you to launch with BioData Catalyst. When you are on a WDL entry in Dockstore, you will launch into BioData Catalyst powered by Terra. We will be importing into a workspace we already created on Terra. Once within the Terra ecosystem, we can go to the Workflow tab and see our workflow imported from Dockstore. We will be using a JSON we downloaded from Dockstore earlier to provide example inputs into our workflow. The fields required by the workflow have been filled in automatically with the values in the JSON file. All that is left to do is to click Run Workflow. We'll be taken to a new page showing the progress of the workflow. This page will be updated once Google informs Terra of an update to the workflow progress. Now, let's launch the CWL version of this workflow into BioData Catalyst powered by Seven Bridges. As with before, we can click here to view the workflow descriptor file. This one is written in the common workflow language, so when we click the button to launch with BioData Catalyst, we will be redirected to 7Bridges. In this example, we will be choosing an existing workspace to import the workflow into. We are taken straight to the app page for this workflow. By clicking the Run button in the top right corner, we can set it up. This is the workflow setup page. We can select our inputs and set any other runtime parameters that was specified in the CWL file. Our data is already inside this workspace. This is open access data that I manually uploaded to my workspace, but there are many different ways to bring data into a 7Bridges workspace. Now that everything is set up, it's time to run our workflow. The workflow will begin processing. This page will be updated as the workflow executes. You can find out more about working with workflows in BioData Catalyst by reviewing documentation linked below.
All right. So to quickly recap what we just saw, there is an easy way to find workflows on Dockstore. You can use the faceted search feature on Dockstore. So you can search by a search term, you can filter or narrow your search by the language, author, source control, organization, and so on. You can also use the organizations and collections page. So if you navigate to the organizations tab on the Dockstore homepage, you can look at workflows that are grouped by the organization that the workflows have come from, or they can be grouped by the general research theme under the different collections. So how to use workflows. So like Ash demonstrated in the video, once you find a workflow that you want to use, you can click on one of the launch with options. Now, if it's a WIDL workflow and you choose the NHLBI BioData Catalyst launch with, it will redirect you to Terra. If it's a CWL workflow, it will redirect you to 7Bridges. So just to give you a little bit of information of the community contributions from BioData Catalyst, if you navigate to the BioData Catalyst organization on the organizations page, you can look at workflows that have been developed by BDC developers and researchers. So these follow the best practices as prescribed by Dockstore. And there are several different types of analysis, like the GWAS studies, which Ash demonstrated in the video, top mid alignment and variant calling pipeline, structural variant calling, and so on. So for example, here, I've pulled up the analysis commons GWAS collection. This collection includes detailed documentation about the workflows. There is a Jupyter notebook tutorial on how to use the workflows. There's test data available, which is based off the 1000 Genomes project, which is open source data. And there is benchmarked cloud compute cost, so that if you decide to use your own data, you can estimate the cloud compute costs for that. And then finally, you can publish your own workflows on Dockstore. Sharing your workflows on Dockstore makes it more accessible, makes your methods more transparent and reproducible. And Dockstore integrates with GitHub so that whenever you make changes to your GitHub repo, the Dockstore entry can automatically get updated. Publishing on Dockstore also enables you to get a workflow entry DOI, which you can reference in your publication. And the screenshot right here shows an example of that. This is a recent publication from the Broad Institute where the workflows used for the analysis are referenced by their DOI. The details on how this process works is elaborated in the Bring Your Own Tool documentation, which is linked here. A few more additional resources, the Bring Your Own Tool guide, like I mentioned in the previous slide, Dockstore Docs, and the BioData Catalyst Help Desk. This is a very good place to submit your questions. You can either scan the QR codes that are on the screen right now, or you can also click on the QR codes later when you look at the presentation. And then thank you so much to the entire Dockstore team and the BioData Catalyst Consortium for this wonderful platform.